Okay, everybody, once you have set up your new OneNote notebook, this is what your blank notebook will look like. As you can see, it even says in the middle, this notebook is empty. You can click here or press enter to create a new section. Another way that you can do that is just to come right down here where it says plus section. So let me just point out a few things to you about the OneNote notebook. Basically, a OneNote notebook is like a digital version of a 3-ring binder. So if you remember back in school when you would have a 3-ring binder and you would have dividers, and then you might have a divider for your math class, and you'd have another divider for your English class, and another divider for your history class. And then you'd put all of your notes for that class behind that divider. Well, that's the same basic idea here. They're called sections would be like those dividers. And then pages would be all of the pages that you would be putting behind that divider in your notebook. So this is what we're going to do. First, we'll get our sections set up. And your sections should be every one of your courses that you're going to take in the program. You may not know what the concentration courses are going to be yet, so you may just want to put concentration number 1, concentration number 2, and so forth. But you'll just click here where it says plus section and then enter a section name. So since we recommend Foundations to be the first class that you take, we'll put that in and say OK. And now you'll see it has put it over here as a section. And it started it off with one blank untitled page. And we'll come back and fill in those pages in a few minutes. But let's just set up a few just to show you what to do. So now we'll go back here for section. And let's go ahead and do research methods. And we got that, and now you can see it over here. And just a few more, we'll go ahead and do organizations. And that, of course, could be changed later to be either org theory or behavior or the leadership class, depending on which of those courses you take for that core requirement. And let's see, let's do 2 more. Public policy. And one more, we'll say public human resource management, and I'll just abbreviate it. So now we've set up 5 of our classes that you will have. As a total, there will be 12 over here, but for now we've just put in 5. Now let's go back up here and think about some pages that you would want to put in. I recommend 5 basic pages, perhaps, that you may want to start off with just to fill those things in at some point. So a first one that I recommend for every one of your classes is textbook. And here you can put a picture of the textbook if you want to do that. You might also put in the PowerPoint from the textbook, if there are any, if the professor has provided them, or if you maybe got them off of the textbook online resources. One thing let me caution you about here, though, is that with any kind of files that you put here in OneNote, they must be located somewhere in your document. So for example, those PowerPoints, you would not want to link to them with the course link, like in your Canvas course, because once that class is over, you won't have access to anything in that course anymore. So you do want to make sure that you have downloaded those PowerPoints and you have them saved either in your OneDrive, your Google Drive, your hard drive, whatever that might be. So just whenever you put those in here, you're going to want those to come from your own files, not linked to your course. So you probably want to put those in here. And a biggie that I always recommend to have here is have the APA citation. You'll definitely appreciate that when you get to capstone and you have to be citing your textbook, so you want to make sure you have that quick and easy for you to get to. Another page you would likely want to have might be your key takeaways. And this I recommend doing either as the class is going on or right when you finish it, is just to come in here and put down 3 to 5 key things that you learned from that class that you think are going to be important for you to remember for your professional development, as well as maybe something you might need for your capstone experience. So that's one. Third one you might want to put would be key theories or theorists. So you might put in here some some key things that come up for that particular course, some ways that it connects to other courses, and that can be totally up to you. But again, thinking about it from the framework of what's something I might need later on. Even if there's not a final exam in that course, what's something you might need to have later on for capstone? And then you might want to have a section called context, and then even perhaps a section called timeline, especially for your foundations course, because you've probably covered a lot of history in that course, and you may want to have access to that information later. So now we've set up those pages for foundations. And then you would just go and you could preset those up for each one of the other courses, just so you have them here. So you do that for methods, organizations, all of your courses. And then as you take those classes, then you can come back in and go through those classes and fill in information as you go along. You may want to keep assignments that you've done. You may want to keep discussion forums that you posted. You may want to keep any handouts that the professor provided. So these are just a way of doing those things. And let me also point out one other thing to you. Let's just say we have one week here we're just going to call general notes. Now, if you see up here, you've got lots of different options for inserting information into your OneNote. If you go to Insert, I'm going to go down here into the body of it. If you go to Insert, then you can put in a picture, you can put in a web link, you could put in an audio file, any of these kinds of things that you might want to put in. But one thing I wanted to point out is with File, you have two options. You can put an attachment, which is just going to put the document there, the link, or you can insert File Printout, which will put both the PDF or the Word file, and it will also give you the actual text of the document. When you put in all of your PowerPoints, you may not want to do that because that's going to be a lot of material. But if you were, for example, put in a paper that you did for class, then you may want to do the file printout because that way you don't have to actually open the file if you're looking for something. So that's a great way to do that. Another one here is Table. And Table is a good option to do if you're going to have several things that you want to put in. So again, back to that idea of the PowerPoint, let's say we know that there are 10 PowerPoints for the class. We may want to come in here and just say, okay, let's put in a table. And then I can come back into each one of these boxes and actually insert the PowerPoint file. And that way it just looks a little cleaner when you have your information there. So these are just some great tips and ideas for you as you pull that together. Now let me show you, for example, the OneNote that I have created for my notebook. This is one that I've been working on with my students. And so here's up with all of the courses set up over here. And I've added a couple of other sections that you probably want to add to yours too. One would be general information, and that would be where you could put in your program of study. So you could put the link to the graduate catalog and also put an outline for your required core courses and then whatever courses you have a choice from for your concentration. You might also put in here your schedule that you intend to do for your classes, whatever you want to put in there. You might include your resume, and you might include other links that are important, maybe to documents or to important files, things of that nature. Another one that I put here at the very bottom is APA formatting. And that's definitely a great resource for you to come back to, where you could find reference sources. You might put in some APA guides. And in the library, if you take the research methods course, many of the professors will have you do some research into the Troy Library. And this is one of the LibGuides that's available. And so you can actually put that in here so you have access to this information with a link. So let me just show you, for example, what a course might look like. This is from my public policy course. So as I mentioned, I put in the citation, and here is one of the PowerPoints, and I put this one in just for a way to show you as a File Plus printout. So it gives me that link, but then it also gives me all the printouts. Again, you might not want to do this for the PowerPoints because that would be a lot of files and a lot of scrolling, but you might want to do that for a paper that you've done. For this one, I've also just pre-filled in a few items, like maybe a public policy continuum you might want to put in. You might want to put in some information about different kinds of models, some ideas on some key theories and theorists, and then the various policy areas. So in my class, I had students do a handout, and I just put a few of them in here just for reference. Again, I used that file plus printout so you could see the file itself. I can link to that if I want to have the actual file, or I can just quickly see the actual printout of what it looks like. And it's right here for me. Another option you may want to put for each of your courses is a glossary, perhaps adding in some keywords, phrases, terms, anything that you think might be important. The real idea here is for this to be a resource for you for your future classes and also for you when you get to capstone, so you have everything located in one place. So that's just a quick overview of how to do the OneNote notebook for capstone, and I hope you'll get started right away at the beginning of your program. And if by chance you're watching this video and you've already gotten through 3 or 4 classes, it's certainly not too late to start. Go ahead and pick up with the classes you're in now, and then as you can, go back and add in the other ones. You will definitely appreciate it later. Please reach out if you have any questions.